The Global Briefing on SAfm.
At 19 minutes past 6, as always, we kick off our first conversation looking at what's happening across the world. A couple of stories. Dr. Joan Swart is researcher in military science at the University of Stellenbosch. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Dr. Swart.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Quite a bit to look at. As a start, the tensions between the US and Iran continue. Iran hitting back at Donald Trump's threat of what he described as an economic D-Day. What exactly did Trump mean, and what is Iran saying?
Well, of course, Iran completely rejected this latest threat. And I just want to quote here, Trump is calling for a crushing economic warfare on an unprecedented scale. So that's pretty terrible. But I think the broader issue is the increasing use of economic power as an instrument of warfare, actually. And it's not increasing, it's been continuing for decades. So this is not simply sanctions against Iran, but he's always also threatening to impose economic consequences on countries that continue doing business with Iran. So this includes the US allies in the Gulf region and other centers of power such as China. So I just want to add that we must remember that Iran has endured sanctions for 47 years now. And it's proven the ability to work around sanctions by developing their own capabilities, becoming more resilient, and part of building, becoming part of building multipolar structures.
What I find,
which is, of course, yes.
What I find puzzling is, this promise of this economic D-Day. There was a promise of a military D-Day at some point, actually, if not repeatedly. So which one is it? Because the military side was supposed to have resolved this matter a long time ago. Now we're shifting to economic measures?
Yes, well, it's pretty clear that the US has run out of viable military options. And it's also clear that they know that, despite the fact that they won't come out and admit it. And just, many people like Joe Kent, for instance, who's the previous director of the terrorism center, counterterrorism center in the US, and that resigned and is been pretty critical of Trump. He is calling for Trump to just walk away, say that he's won, as he's been saying like 47 times already, and just walk away. Because sanctions, it hasn't worked for 47 years. So how is it going to work now? And I just want to also point out that there's been a study recently in the Lancet journal, quite a credible journal, that estimated that over the past decade, unilateral sanctions caused around 560,000 deaths annually worldwide. And the US is sort of responsible for most of these. So somewhere along the line, you need to understand that things are not working and that you're not achieving your objectives.
Speaking of things not working, can one say that the talk, or maybe even the truth around Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's return to the UK is in itself as an indication of things not working out for them in the US? What do we know around this story, and how true or credible are these reports?
Well, I would say there are always two sides of a story. So the sort of the rumors that things haven't been working out quite as well in the US has been around for a while. And of course, we know that things haven't really worked out all that well in the UK for them either. And that's basically why they left the UK in the first place. So now they're back, and there's been a couple of court cases about balancing privacy and their security rights with the public's interest in in people whose lives are part of public life, actually. I think yes.
What comes up in this matter, and apologies there, Dr. Swart, what comes up in this matter, and we know that Harry, just not too long ago, there was that legal setback in his battle against the publisher of the Daily Mail, and continued questions around the conduct, the ethics of the UK media, which forced them to leave in the first place. And with their return to the UK, surely we are not expecting that they would be treated any differently to what we know the UK media, or how certain sections of the UK media behave.
I don't think so, and I agree with you, and I base it on basically the couple of court cases. In the first one, in July, I think it was, they lost their privacy case against, as you said, the Daily Mail. And the High Court there found that they failed to prove that the publisher had unlawfully gathered private information. And he also lost his legal challenge over the level of publicly funded security protection that he receives or received in Britain. So those are two issues that he's dealing with, and it's not going to change, I think.
And then finally, Dr. Swart, there's been allegations of the Chinese encroaching in Arunachal Pradesh, this sparking once again tensions between China and India over that disputed border.
Yeah, I want to give you a couple of a little bit of a background here. So they claim, China claims the whole of this area. I think it's about 90,000 square kilometers or something. So it's fairly big. And they call it Zhangnan, or Southern Tibet. And currently, India considers it as an integral part of its territory, which it administers and governs as a full state of India. So the claim comes from the fact that China believes Tibet it was historically part of China, and they believe that it could not independently surrender this Chinese territory that was part of Tibet. And that comes from the 1914 Simla Agreement that established this borderline, which China did not sign. Tibet signed it, and British India signed it. And they therefore believe that this territory in the southern part of the old Tibet, it should be Chinese. Now, I must also add that neither of these countries has an obvious interest in allowing this dispute to escalate into a major conflict.
All right. Dr. Swart, that's all the time that we have, but we appreciate you as always. Dr. Joan Swart, researcher in military science at the Stellenbosch University.